How do I, 40F, get my daughter, 9F, to stop smacking her food when she eats? So after 9 years of this, well more like 8, not much smacking going on the boob, I am at my wit's end. Every meal, every day, please chew with your mouth closed. Please don't smack your food. At which point she chews with her mouth closed for about 3 bites before she forgets and goes back to eating like a grizzly bear. I didn't bring it up at all until the last few years because she was little, and I thought she would grow out of it. But she's a big kid now, and she needs to learn to eat like a civilized human being instead of some kind of enthusiastic badger. I have never lost my temper or yelled at her about it. That would be completely ridiculous. I have never punished her for it. This isn't really a punishable offense. I have had many conversations with her about being polite, respecting the other people at the table, how no one wants to see her food in her mouth or hear her chewing it. How down the road other kids might potentially tease her for it if she doesn't learn how to eat quietly and not speak with her mouth full. She nods her head, says she understands, and no change in behavior at all come next mealtime. There are no physical issues that prevent her from chewing with her mouth closed. She can breathe fine through her nose. Her adult teeth are coming in fine with plenty of room. No issues with her jaws or mouth. I don't want to give her a complex about this where she gets anxious about eating in front of other people. I don't want to dampen her love and enthusiasm for food. I don't want to damage her. It's such a stupid little thing, but it's like nails on a chalkboard for me, and it's gotten to the point where I can't even enjoy my own meals with her because I'm just grinding my teeth the whole time while she obliviously smacks away. I also did this for a long time as a kid. I just forget about it and you revert to muscle memory, which is of course wrong. My mom did the same thing you did, just telling me to close my mouth every time she noticed, and at some point the correct habit snuck in. Took a while, though. Maybe a parent specific can give better advice, like parenting. Show her how it looks when she smacks with your own mouth. That way she gets a visual on the gross factor, then just keep reminding her. My mom has the same pet peeve and just kept reminding us. We eventually got it. She would also tell us to slow down, because we seemed to only smack when we were eating too fast. Maybe there are etiquette classes near you. It may be a fun way for her to meet new friends her age, learn manners, and I think they top it off with a tea party. I mean, I did all you were doing and it worked. My son is almost 5. Maybe you need to be a bit more firm. If she's eating really aggressively in addition to the open chewing, I'd maybe address the way she is eating. Is she stubborn overall? Has it taken this long for her to learn other areas of behavior? Just tell her it's rude and that we don't chew with our mouths open. Repeat it every single time she chews with her mouth open. When my 5-year-old was 3, it was hilarious to see him say, "We don't chew with our mouths open," with a mouthful of food, whenever he thought someone else did so. Yeah, no kidding, she's having trouble chewing with her mouth closed. You've let this go on for years longer than you should have. 9 is way too old to introduce table manners. That's something you deal with starting from when they can speak and understand, think 3-5. Now that you're at this stage though, you'll have to reinforce good behavior constantly to effect a change, and yes, this will be really annoying for all concerned. If anything, this should be a wake-up call for you as a parent to realize that you need to intervene early when it comes to important issues with your kid. Eating politely needs to be addressed, but by age 9 you should already be having conversations about complex things like sex, substance abuse, religion, cultural differences, etc. Best of luck. I don't know, I don't have kids. But when training pets, you can give them treats when they do what you want. Tell her if she eats with her mouth closes, you'll let her get extra dessert or something. Weird idea I haven't totally thought through. Could you have her eat in front of a mirror? Like, get a little mirror stand to prop up in front of her plate. Then she can see what her mouth is doing and maybe be more conscious of it. Chew with your lips together. Chew with your lips together. Chew with your lips together. Constant reinforcement. You will have to eat with her for every meal. It's also worth telling her the social reactions and judgments made in our culture. My kids are older than yours, but I still have to constantly reinforce table manners with my youngest, 12M. My suggestion is to continue to remind her to chew with her mouth closed and remind yourself that her forgetfulness isn't intentional, it just takes time. Does she take manageable-sized bites? My son tends to shove way too much food in at once and then struggles to close his mouth. My oldest was like your daughter and now she very rarely forgets, but it took a lot of reminding when she was younger. Oh, and I have a radio in my kitchen. It's on during dinner to block out some of their eating noises because listening to people eat makes me want to murder someone. Try giving her a non-verbal reminder every time she chews with her mouth open. A simple tap on the table, and a reward when she is chewing correctly. Great job eating. If there is a pattern to when she stops chewing correctly, praise her eating before so she will be more aware of it. I hope that helps. My sister did this and my mum never pulled her up on it. A family friend was doing a childcare course and had to observe kids under 8, so came to our place. My sister was 7 and I was 9. We found a copy of the report this year. My sister read it and goes, typical go-go. Turns out I'd told her to chew with her mouth shut, something I'm still telling her to do 20 years later. Honestly, family mealtimes are disgusting. We all live apart, but get together at Christmas. I have to sit opposite her and it puts me off my food. The noise is awful. Food falls out of her mouth. She used her hands. She's 27 now and has never had a boyfriend. Ever. I'm convinced that her gross eating habits are the reason. Yeah. Just constant reminding. Constant. Cutting food in smaller bites. Serving food that doesn't need to be chewed heavily. Are you overcooking your meats so they're completely dry? But be persistent. I did go on a date with a guy one time and just how wide his mouth was while he was chewing was record-breaking. So gross. Wow. He even chose to tell me a story while eating. I didn't bring it up at all until the last few years because she was little, and I thought she would grow out of it. B. It's your fault, then. You're meant to teach your kid, not leave them to it in the hopes they'll magically grow out of a natural behavior. Chewing with your mouth closed is socialized. My teenage son used to do this. I told him it was a turn-off for girls. He doesn't do it anymore. I appreciate that you've had her evaluated. I need to ask though, has her doctor looked inside her nasal passages and gotten a clear look? An ENT finally diagnosed me in my mid-20s and did a surgical fix for narrow passages and a deviated septum. My primary care doc missed those for over 20 years because of my allergies. He'd always looked, but he could actually never see anything. Before getting angry, take her to the dentist. They need to make sure her bite is not crossing. I used to smack before I had dental work done because I closed my mouth weird. If she has no issues physically, then tell her to slow down and count her bites while chewing. She needs to learn to be patient. No talking with food in your mouth. Just eat normal. I absolutely cannot be present if my sister is eating a bowl of cereal, or chips, or anything crunchy. The sound of her chewing literally sets my blood on fire. So many fights about it growing up. A few years ago, she did an ancestry test and it stated that according to her, and thus my DNA, she is more likely to suffer from something called misophonia. Basically, this is the experience of certain sounds triggering you into a blind rage, panic, whatever. Her chewing sounds don't seem to piss off anyone besides me. I don't get it, but maybe you can take comfort in the fact that your daughter's open mouth bullshit may not bother everyone as much as it does you. Smiling face with tear-crossed fingers. Add some more flavor. So I would chew with my mouth open as a little kid, and my mum had me go watch myself eat in a mirror. That helped a lot. My mom does this and it drives me nuts. Okay, so like not a parent, but my mom did this. So give your daughter a piece of gum and tell her everything tastes better when your mouth is closed and chewing because then the flavor can't escape. I don't know, it might work, but there is a chance it might not. You could try recording her and playing it back to her, perhaps without comment. Or maybe ask, are you aware that this is how you sound when you're eating? Does she wolf her food as well? I had that habit, and taught myself to slow down. I don't want to tread on egg ground here, but I do think table manners are something everyone needs to learn. And sometimes kids think their parents are overreacting. A recording would illustrate the issue. My mom would say, "Why can I hear you smacking?" whenever my sister or I did it as kids. Reminds me of my childhood when my dad would freak out about smacking our food. I didn't understand why it was a big deal back then, but now I get it, lol. It probably would have helped if you would have worked on it when she was younger, but no guarantee. My oldest niece shovels food in her mouth and has done so since she was a toddler. When I would keep her, I would accuse my sister of not feeding her properly because she stuffed her mouth like she didn't know when she would get her next meal. She's in her early 20s now and she still does it. I just look at her and shake my head. Maybe it's comforting for her in some sort of way. I don't know. Once her peers tease her for it, that'll cure it quickly. You better train her, keep reminding her. Because it's is freaking annoying when you have to live with that kinda table manners. Because my dorm mate, a male that I was interested in briefly prior to moving in, has the same habit. It got so annoying to the point it completely turned me off him. We have similar jobs, so we still meet up for lunch and stuff with other friends, and I make sure to sit far away from him. PPL hate him because of his annoying habits. It's not professional and not an appealing thing to hear when you want to eat. You have to train her to stop it. I'll get banned from the sub for saying it, but I'd relinquish her to the state. If her memory isn't any better than that by 9, she's not going to be a stellar teenager or adult either. Better to rid yourself of a burden while you can. My parents had this issue when raising my niece. They ended up hanging a mirror opposite her chair so she had to watch herself eat. Listening to people eating like for real, I see black and want to k people up. She is 9. It will get better. If she still did it when she was 14, all her peers would laugh at her. Then she would surely stop. Also, have you heard of misophonia? You might have it. It can manifest when it's someone close to you and only their smacking or food eating noises will bother you. I didn't bring it up at all until the last few years because she was little, and I thought she would grow out of it. Kids grow out of bad, undesirable habits through regular reminders, and the occasional explanation why something is undesirable. Keep going. Muscle memory takes time. I have the same issue with my 14-year-old. When he is with me, he does better, but any chance he gets, he will eat gross. His dad does it, and used to laugh about it, saying, "This is how other cultures appreciate their food." I have to constantly remind him, and have him take smaller bites. By the way, has anyone seen that Dr. Phil a few years ago about the lady who would wear headphones when her family would eat? That could be a last resort, lol. You smack her when she eats. Does taking smaller bites help? You waited way too long to teach her to chew with her mouth closed. She's 9, not 2. What were you thinking? I feel like the first time someone not in the family, she has dinner at her best friend's house, or at a birthday party, school event, expresses disgust or derision, or if she is laughed at by someone she likes because she eats like a disgusting animal, she might swiftly change. I had a friend tell a story about when she was a kid, the moment she realized that manners and behavior count in public. Something she did, I don't think it was eating, caused the other adults and kids in the room to all look at her like she was offensive. She said she became immediately aware that there are things you don't do in public. She felt intense momentary shame. My 7-year-old gets £10 a month and loses £1 for naughty behavior. She can sometimes earn lost money back by doing extra chores. She loves it. Just tell her she's old enough to get an allowance, but only if she's old enough to behave well. IDK man, I've been saying this multiple times a meal to my 10-year-old cousin about once a week since September when we have joined family meals and nothing helps. You'd think his sister would be the one with the issue since she's got braces and a bad underbite that's being corrected, but no, it's the kid with perfect teeth. Makes me want to punt puppies. Flushed OMG, I hate that sound. While I would most likely face child abuse charges, would slap 'em every time they snacked their mouth with food in their mouth. Ugh, I can hear that sound now and I'm outside by myself. School will take care of this for you. Middle schoolers are ruthless. Give her a mirror so she can watch herself eat. Then I would tell her that she can get a special treat, dessert, gets to pick a TV show to watch, whatever is motivating for her, if she only smacks her lips 10 times or less during dinner. Make it a game so the whole family has to do it. Smack on purpose to make yourself lose points so she feels better when you have to point it out. Keep doing this, but every week or so you should reduce the number to times she allowed to smack her lips until you are at times and she doesn't need the mirror. There's always etiquette school. It was such a useful tool for me to have in my formidable years, and I am significant other thankful to have these skills now that I am an adult. I think it also took a lot of pressure off of my parents to be the bad guys. So as someone with ADHD who still mucks up the little things in life, maybe attacking it from the mindfulness angle will help. Humiliation and mimicry will not help. It's not an effective teaching tool. But maybe using different language and teaching her to notice what she's doing first, and then working on the solution might work better. For example, I can hear a lot of noise while you're eating. Why do you think that might be? It may provoke her reasoning and thought processes, and teach her to notice what she's doing. I think the tips about helping to manage your stress are worthwhile too, because you can't be effective if you're being wound up, justifiably, by what is going on across the table. Put a mirror in front of her when she eats. That way she can see what she is doing. If she forgets, the mirror will remind her. You need to push it more. Tell her it's rude. Tell her it is not pretty or ladylike. 3 bites in, just tell her again. I don't understand, so you say something once then stop saying it. How does she forget? It's your job to teach her how to be a person, so sit down and eat with her and say it 40 times if that's what it takes. Reward her every time she eats a whole meal with her mouth closed.